Recording, and now I'm going to screen share. Okay, can you see my screen? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So, welcome to Create Revenue, Leverage Your Skills, and Make a Bigger Impact with an Online Course. I know that some of you are in front of your computers and working at your desks, and I invite you to just be present here for this and try to keep out the distractions. I'm going to be giving you a lot of information, and I want you to just really be here and listening. There was a handout sent out in the email a few times, so hopefully you have the handout and have it printed out and can use it. If you don't have the handout, no worries. Just grab some paper or a notebook, and that'll be fine. So I want to get started, and first I want to make sure you're in the right place for this webinar. So you're working hard and wondering if there's a better way. You might be at the place where you want to add a revenue stream to your business. You might want to create leverage, and you might want to go beyond your local geography. You may also want to apply your knowledge to a new audience, and you want to create community and have more fun. And I'm sure that we all want to do that. Wouldn't it be nice to work the same amount of time and make more money? You hear about other people doing it, but like, where do you start? Like, when you start to research this, it can get, the minute you start to ask around about the technology, it starts to get completely overwhelming. At least that's what happened for me. And it can really stop you dead in your tracks. So my goal here is to simplify matters and tell you what teaching online can do for your business and why you should consider it. And also some things that you should know before you get into it, things that I wish I had known when I started, like not to spend a lot of money, which I did do. So we're going to cover all that. I've divided this into, here's the agenda. Okay, I've divided it into 4 parts. I'm going to talk first about why you should consider it. Then I'm going to talk about the 4 things that I wish I had known. And then we're going to like play around a little bit with topics. Like we're going to do a little bit of exercises for you to pick a topic that you might want to teach just for fun. And then part 4, I'm going to open it up. I'll take it off mute and everything, and we could share topics, see what happened for people, and also I'll answer any questions. So remember, type your questions into the chat box as we go. I won't see them till the end, but I can go through and answer them. So why you should consider that there must be a better way. And I think way is blocked out because I see people there. Why you should consider an online course. 7 years ago, I started my own business, Know Your Difference. And I was consulting to clients on branding and marketing for small business. I had 25 years experience in branding, like building global brands. So my idea was to take what I learned from the big brands and apply it to small business. There was a lot of demand for this, and I had clients right out of the gate. The only thing was I was working super hard and not making money. Not making a lot of money, not to justify how hard I was working. I had about 25 clients right out of the gate. And I was going through the exact same process with each one. But I noticed that I was spending a lot of time teaching each client the same principles about branding. So that's when I decided there must be a better way. Way, I think, is blocked out, but that's what it says. There must be a better way. So I came up with the idea of an online course. I thought that if clients could do the course while I coached them, it would be a much bigger contribution to them, less exhausting for me, and I could sell the course online as a product as well. So it sounded like a good idea. I heard about all the people making money online, and I thought I could do this. I thought I'd make a fortune, the first online branding course for small business. I thought I was a genius. So I started talking to various experts in the online course arena. I was told that I needed a special platform to house my course, and I spent $4,000 on that. It was an amazing platform, but it was way too soon for me to invest so much money. I was told I needed a shopping cart system to track affiliates, and that was $150 a month. So I got into that deal, which was hard to get out of. And then I was advised to hire a launch manager, and that cost $8,000. A year later, I launched my course. It was called Your Brand Boost, which, by the way, is still there, and it's an excellent course. 10 people signed up for $349. So I made, hang on, I'm just trying to, so I invested $13,200 and I earned $3,490. It was hardly worth, I got the sad emoji. It was hardly worth the time and the energy that I put into it, but I did incorporate it into my coaching program, and that worked really well. 2 years later, I had an idea for another course for a different audience. I thought, dare I try again? But being the very determined person that I am, I decided to go again, but do it differently and throw out all the rules, all the must-dos, must-haves, money to spend. I decided I was not going to spend a penny, like not one penny. Like I did every single thing myself. And I just like trusted my instincts and let them guide me. And then this one was specifically for graphic designers to help them get more business, which was something that I knew a lot about. I had been in that world for a long time. So the first thing I did was I spoke to a lot of people in the industry. I found out what was bugging them and what they really needed. And I kind of knew that, business development is a big challenge for them. So I decided to create my course and call it the Business Development Breakthrough. And this made a world of difference because I found out what the need was before I even got started. I also decided that I needed to find someone with a really big list of graphic designers to help me promote it. So I did a bunch of research on LinkedIn, and I found this guy, Ken, who I contacted, and he was the LinkedIn manager of the Communication Arts Group. And there were 120,000 people in the group. So I thought, why not? I'll contact Ken. I sent him a tweet and just said, I have something that you might be interested in. Can we talk? And he wrote back and said, what's it about? And I said, hard to say in an email. So, or hard to say in a tweet. So he sent me his email address and I explained what I was doing. Then we got on the phone and he really liked it and said, yeah, I'd like to do this with you. And so we made this deal where he would promote my course and I would pay him commissions for registrations. So I put together a webinar called The 5 Questions You Need to Ask Your Prospect Before You Even Think About Meeting. And I knew that this was going to be a big topic for graphic designers. At least I suspected it. But I really, in reality, had no idea what to expect. The day the email invite to the webinar went out and Ken sent it out, I was literally thinking, I hope someone besides my mom registers for this email, for this webinar. So what happened was Ken sent the announcement out at 10 in the morning. At 10:15, I glanced down at my phone and saw that I had had some registrations. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I've had some registrations. So I opened the email to show me how many registrations, and I had 100 registrations in the first 15 minutes. And then I did a double take because I was like, what? 100 people? 2 days later, 900 people had registered for my webinar. So this is what can happen when you're like bang on with your topic. And that's why you need to find out from your audience all the time what's going on for them. Like really ask them. So I did my webinar, and during the webinar, I introduced my course at the end, and I did about $30,000 in sales. Since then, my partner Ken and I have done this 4 more times. And so this time I invested $0 and made $30,000. So as I said before, Ken and I have done this 4 more times since then, and we've had a total of about 80 people go through the course. And so there's been a global community created of people in like Australia, New Zealand, France, England, Germany, United States, Canada. And they loved, even the Middle East, there was someone, and they loved knowing that they weren't alone in it. And they're seeing success. And I'll tell you a couple of the success stories. I created it once and taught it 5 times. In a minute, I'm going to share some really interesting numbers around that. And I retained ongoing clients. Even 2 years later, I still have a number of clients that started with me in that first online course. And I have a membership, and I get revenue through that. So a little bit about the course. It was 12 weeks, and there was worksheets and different exercises to do. And we had a group call every 2 weeks. This is something that I learned, which is the most important thing that I learned. The first course I taught, 20 people registered. There were 20 people on the first call and 20 people on the last call. They all came through the whole thing, every single person. I was told later that this is unheard of in the online course world, that retention and engagement is a huge challenge in the online course world. So I had figured out how to get and keep engagement. A few years ago, I wanted to just tell this story. I registered for a Facebook course and paid $1,000. There was a ton of content, but it was all online, and there was nobody to talk to. There was no engagement. There was no community. And basically, I made it through 3 modules and gave up because it was like an overwhelming amount of information, and I had no idea where to start. So it's a totally different thing, what I'm talking about, creating a course and then taking people through it and keeping them engaged, creating community and seeing the real transformation in people. And also many of them became friends. In fact, recently, a few of them got on a plane to go visit one of the others that they met in the group. There were 4 women who became accountability partners 2 years ago, and they're still doing that. And now they've had an in-person meeting where they all traveled to get there. So that was really cool as well. So at the end of my first course, they didn't want the 12 weeks to end. So I was like, what can I do here? I came up with the idea of a membership. And I said, okay, you want to keep going? We'll keep meeting every 2 weeks. People can register for $120 a month, and we'll continue these meetings every 2 weeks. We'll talk about marketing. We'll talk about all different things, keep people supported, keep them motivated, keep them part of the community. And I still have people 2 years later who registered for that. So this is Katie Osbourne, and she's been my biggest success story so far. She registered for the Business Development Breakthrough. She's got a small graphic design firm in Brooklyn, New York. She took my course, and then she did 4 private coaching sessions with me, and she was in the membership as well. She wrote me a couple of months ago and told me that her business has exploded, and she's experienced 500% growth in a year as a result of my course and the work we did together. So that was like, I was blown away. I had no idea. I just asked her one day, hey, Katie, have you seen any results? And she told me this. And I was like, oh my God, how gratifying was that to see that sort of an impact with a client? So if that's not enough, let's do some math. So the first time you teach your course, say it's $1,500, which has been my price point, and you have 10 people registered. That's $15,000. Say you do 8 classes, which is typically what I do, 90 minutes each. So that's 12 hours of your time. And then in the first time you teach it, there's probably about 4 hours prep time for each class because you're creating the materials for the class. So say that's 32 hours. So totaling your time 44 hours. And if you divide that by 15,000, you're making about $340 an hour, which is good money. Say you get 20 people at $30,000, same amount of time, you're making $680 an hour, which is like really, really good money. Here's where it gets really interesting. The second time you teach it, you're spending less time. So let's say back to 10 people to just be modest. At $1,500, so it's $15,000, and say you're only spending like max 20 hours, because once I had it done once, there wasn't much to do. Actually, I just spent a little bit of time preparing for each call, but everything was done. So it was maybe a total of 20 hours. So you're making $750 an hour for the exact same amount of work. So that's like really, really, really good money. So I hope you like that math. I really do. We're going to go to part 2 now. When I sat down to think about this, I came up with 4 things that I really wish I had known before I started out. And these are in the handout, so you can jot down some notes. 1, validate your idea. So you may think everyone will want to learn about what you've got, but you really don't know for sure till you start talking to people and asking, seeing the reactions. When I talk to people about teaching, a few people suggested that I teach an online course about how to teach an online course. And then I ran it by some people and said, what do you think about, would you be interested if I were to teach an online course, how to teach an online course? And people said, yeah, sign me up, love it. So I got good feedback. And then there's lots of other ways to do it too. I've sent out surveys. One of the courses that I did was called Profiting from Change a couple of years ago. And I actually sent out a survey and I posted in a LinkedIn group some really thought-provoking questions about the industry, and 75 people answered that. So I got lots of information about, what people really needed. So you want to really find out what people need, what their biggest challenges are, and validate your idea. Number 2, as I mentioned a few times, is don't spend a lot of money when you're starting out. You know how much I spent the first time. It really wasn't necessary. I was more hung up on the technology and the platform. But then I learned that the content and the engagement was the more important thing. So you can set it up very simply and inexpensively at the beginning, and then you can get fancier as you grow. I made the mistake of, as I told you, going along with what all these experts and different people were saying, where I should have just looked inside myself and asked, what do I really need to do here and what's important? The third thing I learned was less is more. The first course I did, I spent a year recording training videos, putting together workbooks. It had to be perfect. I gave like an overabundant amount of information. And it's a good course, but in the end, I felt like it didn't need to be nearly as much as it was, that people would have done better with less information. I think people get overloaded quickly, and, it's better to just give bite-sized pieces, small tasks, things that people can manage. So that was a big learning as well. And my 4th big learning was, as I said before, teach it live. People think that if they record something and stick it on Udemy or Skillshare, they'll make tons of money. And I know some people do. But earlier, the way I created it creates much more for me, it was way more fun because of the community and the engagement and all the people that I've met all over the world and ongoing clients. So it's a very, very different thing. So now I want to play. I want to take some time. We're gonna do an exercise here that I want to just play around with and have some fun, and then we'll unmute the lines at the end. I'm also going to tell you about my upcoming course if you want to take this further and work with me, like go through it step by step. So I'm going to talk about that. But let's play for a minute and just explore. I know some of you are like, really want to do this. And then some of you are like, well, I've been considering it. So I want you to just like play with possibilities right now and see like what's possible for you if you were to go ahead and do something like this. So when you first registered, I gave a worksheet about exploring your audience. So, you know, probably some of you have done it, and maybe some of you haven't. So I included it in the handout today. We're not going to go there right now, but if you want to spend some time later exploring your audience, you've got that in the handout. But I want to focus on generating ideas about what you could possibly teach if you were going to teach an online course. So grab a piece of paper or your handout and write down 3 problems that your clients come to you for. Like 3 problems that they come to you to solve. And as I said, I'm going to, unmute, and I'd like to share these things after, so because I think people can learn from other people. But what are 3 problems? You probably see the same thing over and over. With the business development breakthrough, it was the same problem over and over. Every design firm saying that, it was so hard to get business and the old ways of getting business weren't working anymore. So that was the big thing. Things weren't working for people. So what are 3 problems that your clients come to you to solve? Sometimes I play that Jeopardy music when I do these kind of things, but it was too much technology for me to manage all at once. So if you've got 3 problems, expand each one into 3 mini problems that come out of that problem. So just push it a bit further. And again, we're just blue skying here. This is not carved in stone. This is not something you have to do. We're just playing. We're just seeing what else is possible. So now you've got 9 problems, hopefully, or more. If more things came up for you, that's cool too. So each of these problems is a possible topic course topic for you. So look over the 9 problems that you've written, or more or less or whatever, and circle the ideas that jump out at you. Circle the ones that just sort of like pop. The next step is put an asterisk beside the one that excites you the most. So look at the ones you circled and then see which one excites you the most. Now ask yourself the following questions. Are you excited about teaching this topic? Would a lot of people benefit? Do you know people offhand who would register for a course like this? So I'm going to, in a few minutes, I want to open up the line and have you share what came up for you. But I'm just going to forge ahead for a few more minutes. But let's keep that aside because I want to hear what kind of topics you came up with, and I think it'll be great for you to learn from each other. So these are possibilities at this point. And if you want to pursue this further, as many of you know, I decided to teach a course on this called Create. Here it is in the slide. Hang on. There it is. Create and fill your online course without wasting time or money. So this is going to be 8 90-minute classes starting March 23rd. And each class will be recorded in case you miss one. There'll be a class every 2 weeks. And it's going to be step by step, how to create your course, market it, and at the end, you'll be ready to launch it. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what's going to be in it. Class 1 will be naming your course and developing your framework. To begin, you'll decide how many modules you're going to have, create the content outline for each. You'll decide on the price, start date, and you can get clarity on the benefits people will receive. And then I'm going to take you through a process of coming up with a great name. Class 2, we're going to find people who want to take your course. If you have an email list, that's a great resource. If you don't have a list, we'll talk about other ways to find people. I'll teach you about what I did with Ken and how to get an affiliate. In class 3, we're going to talk about the technology you need and the technology that you don't need. I don't know, some of it got cut off there. That's weird. But we'll keep it simple. Where to spend money, where not to spend money. Class 4, creating a webinar to market your course. And I'm going to give you the script and templates and structure and basically everything you need, emails to send out before and after. Class 5, we'll talk about the web pages you need. You need 3 web pages. I'll explain them. I'll give you the templates. I'll tell you what to put on them. Again, going to keep it simple. Class 6, we'll talk about how to actually launch your course, what happens during a launch, how to enroll people, how to enroll people that are on the fence, what happens after your launch, and I'm going to give you the whole process. You'll just fill in the dates. Then I'm going to teach you how to facilitate your course and give you the template and the agenda that I use so that you get the most engagement from people and you keep them on board right till the end. In class 8, we're going to talk about turning your students into ongoing clients. And I'll tell you more about how I did that, and we'll look at coaching, how to turn it into coaching, what to charge, and things like that. The ongoing revenue thing is a big thing. Oh, there. Memberships and coaching has been a really big thing for me. And I sort of invented it as I went along, because as I said, I had to figure out a better way. And basically it was like people didn't want to end. So I'm like, how can I do this? Should I keep this going longer, or what do I do? And the idea popped into my head about memberships. So I'm going to share all that information, how I did it, how I set it up, how it works with PayPal, all that stuff. You're going to get a lot of templates, target audience worksheet, naming your course, a webinar template, all the emails, you need to send, sales page template, class facilitation template, and then there's a bunch of others that I've been working on as well. It was all created by me. It says user-friendly as the exercise you just did on finding course topics. So the investment for this, I'm planning to charge $2,100 in the future, but right now I'm doing a pilot for $1,500. And basically you'll come away with a topic that you know is needed, your pricing model, and a way to create leverage, all the tools and templates you'll need, a way to create ongoing revenue, and a way to go beyond your local reach and create a global community. The registration details are at, oh no, it got cut off, landthebusiness.com/CYC. It's in the handout. CYC stands for Create Your Course. So it's landthebusiness.com/CYC. The other cool thing, and this is my favorite, is you can teach it from anywhere. I'm in Florida right now, and I took this photo yesterday. And it's the most exciting thing to be able to go anywhere and still do your work. And, you know, the second time I did this, I was here in Florida and I was out for lunch with my dad, and registrations were coming in on my phone. And I just saw these PayPal notifications. And it was like the most incredible thing. I was like, Dad, we just made a sale. And he's like, on the internet? So it was like, he was in shock that I could do something like that. And that's like really super fun and exciting. Again, it's landthebusiness.com/CYC. After you register, you'll get a welcome email with a bunch of information, and you'll be able to get started right away. Even though we're starting March 23rd, I advise you to register now so that you can get started and do some work on your target audience and a few other things before the classes even start. The other thing was, I wanted to talk a little bit about taking action, because as I said, I've had about 80 or so people go through my courses, and I find that the action takers are the ones that have the big success, the ones who just decide and do it, and they take action the whole time. They take what I give them and run with it, and they also experience the most success, like Katie. So I'll add this to the mix. I'm making a fast action bonus. If you register in the next 48 hours, you'll get the course plus a one-on-one jumpstart session with me, where we'll name your course and go through your target audience together. So that's a $350 value in itself. So again, the link's in your handout, and I'll send it out in an email with the recording so you have it. And if you're not 100% sure, if you want to toss it around with me, just email me, rhonda@knowyourdifference.com. We can talk through it and see where your business is at right now and if it makes sense for you. So, so don't hesitate if you want to talk it through. And again, the bonus is available till sort of end of day Saturday. So you have a little bit of time to noodle it around, and then if you want to talk to me as well, let me know. I'm going to leave the slideshow and unmute, and we'll open it up for questions and hear from people. And there you all are. So I'm going to unmute. Okay, you're all unmuted. Cool. So first of all, let's hear, I've got a couple things in the chat. Just one person said, I love the math. Yes, so there actually, I don't have any questions in the chat, but that's fine. Let's hear what happened for you when you started to explore topics. Who wants to start?
Hi, Rhonda. This is Sandra.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Oh, there you are. Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for doing this. I have a question about the validity of what I would like to teach, because what I teach is very visual. I'm a hair extension artist, and I have written a course. It's already done, and I do teach it in person. But the challenge I have is that there's a lot of people out there doing it that are doing like mobile to the home, that kind of thing. And I'm wondering what your thoughts would be on doing something like this by a webinar and sending people product to actually do the course at home themselves.
I think that could work. It's not an area that I know a lot about, but then again, that's something that you might want to test out with your audience. Do you know who would be the audience for this?
Yeah, the challenge for me is, and for most people, is hairstylists don't make a lot of money, especially when they're starting out. So I want to help them elevate their dollars per client, and hair extensions are definitely do that.
Oh, so the audience is hairstylists.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the only way to know for sure is to ask them.
Okay.
You know, talk to some people, have some calls with people you know, and they'll also give you input with different ideas. Like they'll say, you may want to do it this way, or you may want to do that, or have you considered this or that? So again, validate, with people that really know that people that would be potential clients for you.
Okay.
Okay. Did anybody have any big epiphanies of an idea? If you have background noise, if you could just mute yourself, that would be great. So tell me some of your topics. What kind of topics came up, or what kind of problems? What were some of the problems that came up?
Probably, Rhonda, for me, one of the main reasons I was interested in being on the call is, what I do, build peer-to-peer advisory boards for women. And most of these are built in small or medium centers. And I've been getting a lot of requests for women business owners in remote areas that they need help to grow their businesses. So that was of an interest to me, to be able to help more women by being able to do this virtually, as opposed to meeting around the board once a month.
Yeah.
So that was sort of but there are certainly, the topics are endless around business, as we know.
I know. Yeah. So, you probably have a lot of topics that you could focus like an online sessions around.
Yeah, initially I think it would be business growth, because that's what we're all about. But helping them strategize, what's the best business model for them to increase revenue. issues and looking at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, whatever you do, look at these problems that people come to you for, and then that's what you want to offer.
Right,
You take the problem, turn it around. Like I did the business development breakthrough. They all have trouble with business development and wanted a breakthrough. I did another one that I called Profiting from Change, also for graphic designers, because the industry has changed so much and they don't know what to do. So that was another course that I did. And that was the one where I went on LinkedIn into one of the graphic design groups. I posted something about, how has the industry changed for you? And what are you doing about it? And 75 people answered that. So that gave me a ton of material. I went through it all. And I also sent out a survey through, it wasn't SurveyMonkey, but it was PollDaddy, which I use a lot. It's free. And I sent out a survey to, like, now I have a pretty big email list of graphic designers. And I sent out a survey to them and said, just answer these quick questions for me, help me out here. And I think about another 70 people answered that one. So that gave me like a ton of meat. So I was like, okay, now I know what these people really need and I can put it together for them. So yeah, always like ask. Do your market research.
Rhonda?
Yeah.
When you send out a poll, do you give people just fill in the blank, ask a question, and then have them fill it in? Or do you give them, check the box here, multiple choice kinds of things?
I've done both, or I've done both. And sometimes I do a combo. I'll ask a question and then say, which would you prefer? And then I'll give like 3 options. It just depends on what I'm trying to find out. But you wouldn't believe some of the people would write like huge responses. Like it surprised me. If you can, again, really hit a pain point, something that's really bugging people, you can get a big response. Like if you, like that webinar that I did called The 5 Questions You Need to Ask Your Prospect Before You Even Think About Meeting, that hit a huge pain point because the audience, they run out to every single meeting without qualifying anybody, and most of them end up being a big waste of time, and they know it. That's why I got 900 people registered for that thing. Also, it went out to a huge audience. It went out to 120,000. But it really hit a chord, like it struck a chord. And because I knew that audience so well. So you just really want to know your audience, like intimately, who you're talking to.
Do you find that you can go from 0, meaning a free webinar, to $1,500 in areas other than business development? So for instance, you probably remember me as the image consultant,
right?
And I've developed a virtual course, but it is all recorded and online. I want to take it live, but I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you get to the pricing?
Well, that's something that we'll work on together in the course. Is like, $1,500 worked for me for that audience. So you have to, again, know what's going to work for your audience, what makes sense. So you got to play around with the numbers.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know. You just got to take a stab at it, I guess, and then adjust it the next time around.
Yeah, and also what feels about right. There's a tool that I learned in the last, like about a year ago, I learned this tool called the light heavy tool. And it's what feels light and what feels heavy. I was talking to Valerie about this the other day. When something feels like a heaviness, like, ugh, it just doesn't feel right. And when it feels the lightness, like exciting, and you just want to keep going toward what feels light. So I use it now to make a lot of decisions. where you know, I'm not sure what to charge, and I'll be like, it should be 1,500, it should be 1,800, 1,700. I play around, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that feels about right. I think that's going to work. I think that feels about right. So it's sort of a really different way of working, but it's been working well for me.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else? Oh, there's Rosemary. How are you? So anybody else, any surprises come up for you with these topics?
One thing I'm wondering about is if your topics, if you don't have enough meat for any one topic, but maybe a series of topics.
Yeah, I mean, you could do some kind of series, or, you know, it's something we'd kind of have to look at more closely. Can you give me more of an example?
Well, I wouldn't specifically be looking at a business-to-business kind of thing. I'm not a coach. I'm not an accountant, so I'm not specifically helping other people grow their businesses. I'm in the food business.
Right.
Everything I do helps, you know, busy people eat well. So,
right, you're the Supper Works.
Yeah.
I remember I sat beside you.
I read. So I'm not seeing, you know, I might be looking at, you know, people with aging parents or people with picky eater kids, or just, you know, busy business people who are eating crap at the drive-thru every day because they're so darn busy. In looking at my customer base and the people that I'm helping, I don't see anything like long-term enough or sustainable enough to do several sessions on any one topic.
Mm-hmm. But it would be up to you how to structure it too. Like some, you know, mine have lent themselves nicely to 8 classes, but it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be, you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be $1,500. It can, again, whatever works for you. But yeah, it's something worth looking at. I mean, the educational component of what you do could be really great for your crowd, especially the aging parents thing. And that kind of jumped out for me when you said that.
Yeah, you've got the wheels turning. So.
That was the idea. Anybody else have any surprises, any topics that they came up with that they want to share?
Rhonda, if most of what you do is in a kind of an emotional space, right? Like, I mean, you know, that we do leadership training mainly for creative industries. And the work that we do now it's very physical, first of all. People aren't sitting for very long. They're always doing things. A lot of what's behind it is because creatives by and large don't like to collaborate, and they are big solo acts, and the world is changing and they're not keeping up and all of that. And they don't like to take any kind of a course unless they're forced to. And so, and they always find it valuable. But so much of it comes from these very intense personal interactions with other people. So our hesitation up to now for doing anything online is that it's quite hard to imagine how you take things that are transformational through that process and turning them into something that might necessarily be more intellectualized, say, and so if getting to be a better collaborator is part of it. How do you work online with people all over the place to bring some of that stuff to life?
I guess, it could be maybe a combination like what I did with the first course. I did the branding one where I was working with them and they were doing these modules at the same time. So maybe there was specific learning that I just needed everybody to know about across the board. because it was the same thing over and over and over. Here, you need to know about this. You need to know about this. So there was that, and then the combination. And maybe you can somehow, I'd love to see you be able to take your work into more sessions like these so that you're not on a plane all the time.
Yeah, that.
So like there's probably a way to work it out. And also, again, maybe you need to run it by a couple of people too, of what might work better, what might work different. If you weren't always, maybe it's probably more cost effective for them if you're not traveling constantly to see them as well.
We do, I think I mentioned to you, we do have an agency that wants us to do something like with their group live, but then they want to follow it up with like 6 1-hour courses, kind of this. So part of the challenge that I have is turning the topics that they want into something that can be done distance, essentially.
Yeah, and then also the other thing is, I mean, you probably see certain patterns in every company you deal with, that it's like the same thing, like they need the same thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be great if you could create some sort of format that you could start to reuse for everybody. And that maybe you go meet with them and have your in-person, and then followed up by six calls like this with specific content, and then it becomes a little more scalable and a little more leveraged and easier for you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Cherie said, for me, the topic is my clients want to be best-selling authors, but don't know what is required to make that happen. Have a cold and no voice. Aw. Yeah, so again, it's so you actually know your topic. You want to be a best-selling author, but don't know what's required. And then there's probably things that you're telling them over and over again that, like I did with the branding course, that you could package up and say, okay, I'm going to take you guys through this. If you want to be a best-selling author and don't know what's required, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, whatever you figure out. But yeah, I think that's like a really good topic. We all start out wanting to be best-selling authors, and I know that there's a lot more to it. I wish, again, I did a book, and I wish I had known what was involved in that before I did that, because then that was do another webinar on that, how much money I wasted there. Does that answer your question, Cherie? You can just give me a... Marnie has to go deal with a client. Yes, Cherie, we'll chat again. Okay, love to catch up. Any other questions? Comments? Anybody want to run their topic by me at this point? You're all good?
Rhonda, it's Valerie. We spoke the other day a little bit about this, but I just wanted to go over it again. And the topic that I'm interested in is has to do with employment and how to transition from one career path to another in mid-career or later career. So that's what I'm interested in. And then I was thinking about pricing for that, because sometimes when people have been downsized, they might not want to invest in something like this, if they have a package or whatever. So I'm thinking about how would I price it. So there's a few thoughts going through my mind.
Yeah, and again, it's some asking around and talking to people and doing some market research and getting more information. And we'll talk specifically about that in the course. The questions to ask, how to go about it. If you're going to do a survey, an email survey, what to ask, if you're going to actually do some like stakeholder interviews and talk to people, talk about the questions to ask. So then you'll start to get more confidence and comfort in what you're doing. And you'll know, when I did that business development course and spoke to all those people, they were like, oh my God, business development's become such a nightmare. And I had been doing business development for design firms for many years. So I kind of knew that. But once I started really talking to people, they were like, yeah, if you can come up with something that will help, that would be really amazing. So, so that's what I think I spoke to about 10 people. Like I had phone conversations with about 10 people, and I specifically asked them, tell me your biggest challenge. And, I asked them a whole series of questions and wrote a lot of notes. And then I was like, okay, basically every person that I spoke to said around the same kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, there's something here. I'm gonna pursue this further.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the biggest of everything, is just keep asking and validating, get information from people. That's why the big companies spend $1 gazillion on market research.
Exactly. So Rhonda, when you chose that topic, you knew the answer.
What do you mean?
So when you chose the topic about how to get business in the graphic design industry, I mean, you knew the answer to that question when you started, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you basically knew your material, and you just had to flush it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, all of you have been doing what you do for such a long time that you know your material. Like, you know what you want to teach people, and you're probably telling them the same things. You're probably saying the same things over and over to every client or every customer. So you kind of know. It's a matter of like just getting some structure around it and putting a framework. Like when I sat down to figure out this course, I was like, okay, what do people really need to know? And like literally I had my framework. Like I was like, okay, they need to know this, they need to know that, they need to know how to pick a name, they need to know to do market research, they need to know about the technology, they need to know how to facilitate. So I came up with all the ideas of what I was going to do here, and then I put it in order. Because I was like, I've done this. I know it. I know what to do, which you all do too. Hello?
No. Mama.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, if you could mute yourself, whoever that is.
Too personal.
Are there any other questions before we wrap up, or anyone wants to say something?
One more question about market research.
Yeah.
So do you talk to existing clients as well as to just, people that you come in contact with, that maybe your friends, colleagues, but you haven't actually worked with them before?
Yeah, for the business development breakthrough. Yeah, if that person could mute yourself, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but anyway, sorry. For the business development breakthrough, I just emailed people that I knew in the industry that own design firms.
Oh, okay.
And said, I'm doing something new, would love your input. Could we have a chat? So they weren't clients at all. They were just kind of people that knew the industry well.
Okay.
But you could do it with clients, again, it depends. In your business, you might want to do it with clients.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like most? What would work for you?
Perfect. Thank you.
And Cherie had one more question. Sometimes I feel as though I'm in a very crowded marketplace. In your course, will you address this? Well, yeah, because we're going to talk about messages. In my course, we're going to get you topics like the 5 questions you need to ask your prospect before you even think of meeting with them. So, and that's one of the things that I really like to do is come out with something that sounds different, that it's going to get people to raise their eyebrows. like how to create and fill your online course without wasting time or money. I sat down, I'm like, okay, what's the biggest problem here? Wasting time and money. That was my biggest challenge, was wasting time and money, like so much time and so much money. And then I'm like, okay, that's going to be the name. So I'm going to give you like the templates and stuff to come up with that, like how to, like fill in the blank kind of templates where you'll come up with different ideas for that. So yeah, because you gotta stand out. And that's my whole know your difference thing. It's all about standing out and being different. So yeah, we're going to make sure that you stand out and different and it doesn't sound like part of the noise. From Anne Marie. Yeah?
It's Jane here. I just wanted to ask you, how do you deal with confidentiality when you're doing an online training like that?
Well, it's more of a verbal thing that people commit to the course and we keep it like a safe space.
Right.
Most of my groups have been like 20 people, so it's not like 100 people or anything. And people get to know each other and become part of a community. So it's just that understood thing that what comes up in the group stays in the group. I haven't actually done any formal confidentiality agreements, but I could, and that's definitely something that you could do.
Yeah, because a lot of what I do, I usually for my own self, I have to have an agreement. I have them sign an agreement when I work one-on-one with somebody for my insurance. So I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know, is Marg still here? Yeah, Marg, you do that, right? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have everybody sign a confidentiality agreement, right? That what comes up in the group just stays in the group. And it's a good idea, actually. That's something that I should definitely incorporate.
Yeah, I just was wondering how you did it online.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it more verbally in the past.
Yeah,
but it's a good idea to have everyone sign and say, yeah, we'll keep everything confidential that comes up in this group. Because yeah, there definitely is a lot of sharing and personal stuff comes up for people.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Once you start digging in, you don't know what's going to come up for people.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. When you talk about which resources to use and when, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, email, yes, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about is what emails to send out, and even give you the emails. Like here's all the emails that I send and when to send them, which day. And I'll talk about how I used LinkedIn and how I connected with Ken. I'm not going to get deeply into social media because that's not my area, but I definitely use it to promote my stuff. But it'll be more of a general sense of how to market your course. Anyone else? Nothing else coming up for anybody? Thanks, everyone. Great. Okay. Well, we're ahead of schedule, which is always nice. I hope that you all got a lot out of this and feel like you got some good direction for your business and some new ideas. I didn't even realize like the math till I actually sat down and thought about it. I was like, wow. So it's been great for me. And I love this format. Like I love talking to people in this way. And this is what my meetings are like. We come on Zoom and every 2 weeks have these kind of discussions. It might be 10 people, it might be 15 people. Sometimes miss, and I always record it so that people can catch up because meetings come up and things come up for people. So, there's always the recording so you can go back. Oh, so, Donna wants me to share the slide with with the calculation. If I may take a screenshot, I can. Hang on one sec. Let me see if I can get back there. You know what? I'll send it out. That would be easier for me at this point. I will send out the calculation. Do you all want that, or just Donna? Yeah? Okay. I'll send out those slides. Hilda, I see our class is always on the same day and same time of week. Yes. It'll be Thursdays every other week, same time as this, 3 to 4:30 Eastern. So it'll be every other Thursday, and there'll be 8 in total, so you can put them all into your schedule. I see more people using Zoom. Can you share your experience with it? Love Zoom. It's $20 a month Canadian, and it's great. Hardly had any challenges. There's been the odd time 1 or 2 people have had difficulty with the sound, but much more reliable than Skype. I haven't tried, I know Marg, you use Telus' platform. I think that's a little more, I actually looked into that. It's a little more costly and you can't have as many people on it. So it's a little different, but been loving Zoom. And you know, you can do different things. You can block people out. You can mute people. I can turn off the video. I can turn on the video. I can share my screen easily. So Zoom's been, it was recommended by a friend of mine, and they've really delivered, and their support's really good as well. Like if you want to talk to a person, you can actually talk to a person. So love Zoom. Very helpful, lots of ideas, which lead to more ideas. Yeah, there's no shortage of ideas. Sorry, there's no shortage of ideas. Just making them happen is the thing. So, but thank you all for showing up. So nice to see everybody. Rosemary asked, you have recorded the course. How do I access? Oh, I'm going to send out the recording of this. So I'll send it. I have to like download it after I stop the recording. And then I'll send out a link so that other people that missed it, a few people wrote me that they had to go to a last minute meeting and different things came up. So I'll send out the recording and the links and whatever you need. I'll send out those slides as well. Anything else? Thank you. Great information. Anything else come up for anyone? Nothing? No questions? And if you have questions after this, email me. And also, again, if you're considering it but not completely sure if it's a good fit for you or right for you, email me and we'll set up a time to talk. And then if you are sure you want to do it, so just jump in before like Saturday night and you can get that extra bonus session with me. There's no deadline for the registration. We're starting on the 23rd, so you want to register before that. And the sooner you register, like I'm going to be sending out exercises to get started as soon as you register. So we're a few weeks away from that. So you can work on your target audience and do a survey and some things like that before we even get started. Would be really good. Any other questions, comments?
I guess I have one other question, Rhonda. During the 90-minute class, is that most of you teaching the 90 minutes, or is that teaching plus getting feedback for individuals?
It's teaching. It's a combination of teaching and getting feedback for individuals. So it's a combination of teaching and coaching. Okay. So you may say, you know, this is what happened when I did some interviews for my target audience. What do I do with this? And then, you know, the other thing I do is I give you the opportunity to send a prep sheet in the day before the call. Sorry. So grab my water. I let you send a prep sheet the day before the call so that you can kind of think through what you want to get out of it, and if you are having any stuck points. And then I go through all those before we speak and answer everybody's questions. Mm. And then if something pops up for you, we always have discussion, and there's some coaching, and there's always the opportunity for one-on-one coaching with me as well, if people want to do that.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else before we wrap up? Okay, well, connect with me individually if you want to chat further. Do I still use the platform and shopping cart I invested in earlier? The Business Development Breakthrough is in that platform, and it's great. Again, I invested a lot in that, and I'm not going to use it this time. I'm going to create my own thing and, again, do it more cost effectively. And I don't use the shopping cart either. I use PayPal. I only had one affiliate, like one shopping cart, and nobody told me this. It's like if you have a dozen affiliates, it manages all that. But I had one. So like I was investing $150 US a month for one affiliate. And I was like, why am I doing this? I don't need this. So yeah, I got myself out of that. I got myself out of I found that a lot of that stuff was like just bogging me down, like keeping me from like really being in the flow and trying things and doing things. So yeah, I'm not doing it that way anymore. I like what I did. I created great stuff, but I felt like, and it definitely worked for people, but I feel like I can make it work for people just as well without investing in all that. And that's kind of part of my point in all this is you don't need to spend $13,000 or $15,000. It's more your intellectual property. It's more what you know, and having the right message and making sure you have something that's going to stand out and be different for people, that they understand the value, and then making the connections, creating the community, because that's something that a lot of people are really missing, especially my graphic design audience. A lot of them freelancers working on their own in their house and really isolated. So they just have so enjoyed the group. We also have a community on Facebook, which I'll start for this community as well. And people post articles they found. They ask questions. If they're looking to hire someone, they'll post to the group and say, anyone know a good project manager in New York? So there's like a community there of about 120 people. And it's like a private Facebook group. And I'll have that again for this group too, so that people can, again, feel more connected, ask questions, and chat back and forth. Anything else? Anything coming up for anybody? Concerns, questions? So I guess it's a wrap then. So you'll be hearing from me. I'll send out those slides, and I'll send out the recording and a couple of other things. And yeah, connect with me one-on-one if you want to talk about it further. I don't have trouble coming up with ideas, just the process. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to take you through. We're going to go step by step, the process, and so that I'm just basically going to show you exactly what I do every time, and it's worked 6 times now. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, Anne-Marie, love to have you. Any other question? Oh. Okay, then. So it's a wrap. Great to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. This was so much fun. Really appreciate all of you. So many of you that I know. Great to have everybody here and in the group. So I will talk to many of you soon. And thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.